We need to be masters of status. Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Basketball Rules Expert, the show where we take National Federation of High School Basketball rules, we lift them off the printed page, breathe life into them, simplify, clarify, amplify, so that you can take them with you onto the basketball court. Greetings again, everybody. My name is Greg Austin with thebetterofficial.com. I've been a high school basketball official in the San Francisco Bay Area for over a decade, and I consider myself to be a basketball rules expert. This show is all about helping you on your journey to becoming a basketball rules expert as well. It's Backcourt Week here at A Better Official. Before we look at play scenarios today, though, I have to give a shout out to our fantastic show supporters. Kevin Swan, Thomas Lyons, Marlon Dayub, David York, and Greg Becker. If you want to support the show, you can always buy us a coffee. There's a link in the show notes. All right, let's get started with the show. It's Backcourt Week here at A Better Official. On Monday, we had our Masterclass explaining the backcourt rule and explaining the issues surrounding the rule and why the rule itself is simple. The situation is complicated. Why it is so difficult. We talked about why it is so difficult to make backcourt rulings in real time and what are the factors. There are obviously rules differences. We see NBA plays, we see NCAA men's plays, we see international plays. We see those, our partners see those, the stakeholders in the game, the players and coaches, etc., all see those plays. It clouds everybody's perception about what's legal and what's not. Our job is to be experts at the rules of the National Federation of High School Basketball rules. The NFHS, a decade ago and more recently, made changes. Giving team control during a throw-in led to confusion. Continued confusion, multiple years. Tried to correct a rules interpretation, added language to the rules book, created more confusion. Confusion exists surrounding this rule, and that's part of what we're trying to do here and clarify. The thing about backcourt rules is that multiple conditions have to be met. We use the example of an out-of-bounds play, how simple it is to call an out-of-bounds play. A player who's, let's say, has a foot on the line, a player who has their foot on the line contacts the ball. The ball immediately is out of bounds by rule. We don't need to know how the ball got there, who last touched it prior to that player. We don't need to know if there was team control, if it had front court status, backcourt status. We don't need to know anything. All we need to know is the ball had been made out of bounds by that player in an instant. That's a simple call, because there's no other circumstances. But with a backcourt call, we have to know multiple conditions. Was there team control? Was there team control on the court? Was there front court status prior to a backcourt status? And does the rule exception apply in this instance? And in addition, we need to be masters of status. The status, we need to know everything about when team control starts and when team control ends. We need to know everything about how a ball gains front court status and how a ball gains backcourt status. We have to be experts at status, right? It adds complexity to our ability to process in real time and make the correct ruling. And processing time is a factor. With all of these things that go into the call, we have to have additional processing time. That out of bounds call, boom, just like that. A backcourt call That's something different. All right, let's move on now and take a quick review of Rule 9-9. The backcourt rule in National Federation of High School Rules. Rule 9-9, 169 words, 3 articles, written in the legalese of the rules book. The rule itself is Article 1, which we can convert into a simple formula. A player must not be the first to touch the ball equals first to touch backcourt. After it has been in team control in the front court equals team control on the court. If he or she last touched the ball in the front court equals last to touch front court. That's our formula. Team control on the court, last to touch front court, first to touch backcourt. If all 3 conditions are met without the exception, it is a backcourt violation by rule. Now, let's look at the 2 exceptions. Article 2, a player in the backcourt causes the ball to go front court and return backcourt without touching a player. Violation by rule. Article 3, during a jump ball, a throw-in, or while on defense, a player may legally jump from the front court, catch the ball in the air, land in the backcourt, making a normal landing. The 2 exceptions. Article 2, a violation so rare it can almost be ignored. Article 3, a legal play. Very common, very important, known as the backcourt exception. That is our review of the backcourt rule. All right, let's move on now and try to apply this simple formula to our various play scenarios. Remembering that the formula must have all attributes present. If any are missing, there is no violation. In addition, we need to know, does the rules exception apply? Jump ball, player on defense, or during a throw-in, does the exception apply? And then also we need to have complete command of the status. The status of the ball, is it front court, back court, team control on the court? Does it exist? When does team control start? When does team control end? That's everything that we have to put together in our processing of these plays. Our goal here is to learn to process these plays correctly, no matter how long it takes. We develop that expertise, and then we can work on reducing that time, taking our command of status, our mastery of status, taking our command of the rule onto the court with us, and being able to process plays quickly enough so that we can rule accurately each and every time. Let's get started with our very first play scenario. A1 is dribbling in the front court. B1 reaches and deflects the ball, which hits A1's knee and caroms into the backcourt. A1 runs to the backcourt and is the first to touch the ball. The officials give the approved NFHS signal for a deflection and rule this a legal play. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? All right, simple scenario. Dribbler in the front court, defender deflects the ball. It caroms off of the ball handler's leg into the backcourt. The ball handler goes and retrieves the ball. The official gives the National Federation approved signal indicating the ball was tipped and rules it illegal play. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? So, we know our simple formula. Team control on the court. Did they have it? Yes. A player holding or dribbling the ball, we have team control on the court. The ball was dribbled. It was deflected by the defense. It caromed off of the ball handler's leg into the backcourt. Who was the last to touch in the front court? It was the ball handler's leg. They were the last to touch in the front court, and they were the first to touch in the backcourt. We know all of these 3 conditions are correct. Is the exception apply? Was it during a throw-in, jump ball? No. So this is a backcourt violation by rule. Team control on the court, last to touch in the front court, first to touch in the backcourt. Why is the official confused? Because they were not a master of status. Team control had not ended. We have to know about team control, when it ends, when it starts and when it ends. The deflection by the defense did not end team control. They were the last to touch in the front court, first to touch in the backcourt. Our formula says backcourt violation by rule. So were the officials correct? No. No, they were not. All right, next play scenario. A1 attempts a try for a three-point goal. The ball hits the backboard and is batted backwards by A2. While still in Team A's front court, A3 touches the ball with both hands, but muffs the ball, which then bounces into Team A's backcourt. A3 then grabs the ball. The officials rule that this is a legal play. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? All right, Team A in the front court. Player releases a try for goal. During the rebounding action, A2 bats the ball in the direction of the backcourt. A3 is there. I got it. Boom, off their head into the backcourt, and they go retrieve it. Okay. Did we have team control on the court? We had it before the try, but once the try went up, we did not. Has it been reestablished? By rule, a player holding or dribbling the ball, the batting of the ball did not establish team control. The player who muffed the ball did not establish team control until the ball was in the backcourt. So simply applying our formula, there is no backcourt violation by rule. Our mastery of status comes into play because we know that team control ended on the try. So that's the important thing. So in this instance, were the officials correct? Yes. Yes, they were. While making a throw-in near the 28-foot mark in Team A's front court, A1 passes the ball to A2 in the front court near the division line. A2 muffs the ball, and the ball bounces directly into the backcourt, where A2 retrieves it. The officials rule this to be a backcourt violation on Team A. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? So we have a throw-in situation. The thrower throws the ball to a teammate. That teammate does not catch the ball. It deflects off of them. It goes in the backcourt, and the same team collects the ball in the backcourt. The officials rule a backcourt violation. Let's look at our formula. Team control on the court, last to touch front court, first to touch backcourt. Was the team last to touch in the front court? Yes. The player who muffed the ball was last to touch in the front court. Was the team the first to touch after the ball had backcourt status? Yes. Yes, they were. But what's missing? Team control. There's no team control on the court. To establish team control on the court, we need a player holding or dribbling the ball, and we did not have that in this instance. Remember, team control during a throw-in, our mastery of status, team control during a throw-in only applies for the administration of fouls in National Federation of High School Basketball rules. We can't apply that to other violations, such as backcourt or 3 seconds or things that happen that have to have activity on the court, team control established on the court. So the officials ruled a backcourt violation in this instance. Were those officials correct? No. No, they were not. A1 releases a throw-in pass. A2 jumps from Team A's front court, catches the ball in the air, then lands first with a foot in the front court, and then with a foot in the backcourt. The officials rule this to be a backcourt violation on Team A. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? All right, simple throw-in play. Let's apply our formula. Team control on the court. The player, when they caught the ball, they had front court status. That would establish they grabbed the ball, that would establish team control on the court. They were the last to touch in the front court because that player who jumped in the air had front court status. And the player was the first to touch backcourt because they landed in the backcourt holding the ball. right? Violation, right? Except, wait a minute, we have to know our formula, but we also have to know the exception and be masters of status. In this instance, there is an exception during a throw-in where a player is allowed to jump from the front court, catch the ball, and make a normal landing. It matters not whether both feet land simultaneously, 1 foot then the other, 1 foot then the other, with backcourt status. So, in this instance, the officials ruled a backcourt violation. Were the officials correct? No. No, they were not. A1 is dribbling in the backcourt. As A1 nears the division line, they first bounce the ball in the front court, then step into the backcourt with the right foot. Then A1 backs out and continues to dribble in the backcourt. The officials rule this to be a backcourt violation on Team A. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? All right. Player dribbles the ball from the backcourt to the front court, dribbles the ball and puts 1 foot into the front court, and then retreats back to the backcourt. Is this a violation by rule? Did we have team control on the court? Yes. Player dribbling the basketball. Did we have front court status? That's the question. Was this player the last to touch in the front court? And they were certainly then touched in the backcourt. But we are masters of status. We have to know when the ball gains front court status. We know by rule that a dribbler dribbling the ball has to have the ball and both feet across and into the front court before the ball gains front court status. So in this instance, even though the ball bounced in the front court, by rule, it does not have front court status until that dribbler has all 3 points into the front court. Seems a little bit illogical, but we have to be, again, masters of status. So this player never gained front court status. If we never gained front court status, we cannot have a backcourt violation. So were the officials correct in this instance? No. No, they were not. A1 is making a throw-in along the sideline in Team A's backcourt. A1 makes the throw-in towards A2, who is standing in Team A's front court. B1 deflects the throw-in pass after it is released. A2 jumps from the Team A's front court, catches the pass in the air, and lands in the backcourt. The officials rule this to be a legal play. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Okay, we have a throw-in. The defense deflects the throw-in. Our player, teammate of the thrower, jumps from their front court, grabs the ball in the air, and makes a normal landing in the backcourt. Right? Our mastery of status has to come into play here. We have to know, was this during a throw-in or had the throw-in ended? What causes a throw-in to end? In this instance, the touch by the defender caused the throw-in to end. If the throw-in has ended, does the exception exist? No, the exception does not apply. So in this instance, since the throw-in had ended, our player who jumped from the front court caught the ball, establishing team control on the court. They had front court status, so they were the last to touch in the front court, and when they landed in the backcourt, they were the first to touch in the backcourt. The exception did not apply. Our knowledge and mastery of status helps us make this correct ruling. Were the officials correct? No. No, they were not. A1's missed try rebounds directly to A's backcourt, where A2 gains control. The officials rule this a legal play. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Super common scenario, right? A player releases a try, it caroms off the rim directly towards the backcourt. Team A player goes to the backcourt, retrieves the ball, the officials rule this illegal play. Our mastery of status tells us, when does team control on the court end? It ends on the try. So we had team control on the court. That control was no longer in effect on the try. So when the player collected the ball, legal play. Simple play, obvious play, but our mastery of status comes into play. During a throw-in by A1 from the end line by Team A's basket, the throw-in is touched by A2 before it goes across the division line, where it is recovered by A3. The officials rule a backcourt violation. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Right? So a throw-in under their own basket for Team A. Player releases a throw-in, contacts a player near the division line, muffs the ball, goes into the backcourt. Something we have to remember is that it matters not where that throw-in location is. Under Team A's basket, under Team B's basket, sideline adjacent to the front court, sideline adjacent to the backcourt. They are all the same by rule. We can't get confused like, oh, it seems like they are in the front court since their throw-in is in the front court. Not a factor. So in this instance, let's look at our formula. Team control on the court. Last to touch front court, first to touch back court. Did we have last to touch front court? Yes. Did we have first to touch back court? Yes. Did our exception apply? Did a player jump? No. Did we have team control on the court? We have team control during the throw-in only for the administration of fouls. Did we have team control on the court? Did we have a player holding or dribbling the basketball before we had last to touch in the front court? No. No, we did not. So in this instance, were those officials correct? No. No, they were not. A1 catches the throw-in pass with one foot on the floor in A's front court and the other foot not touching the floor. The non-pivot foot then comes down in A's backcourt. The officials rule a backcourt violation on Team A. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? Throw-in scenario near the division line. Player catches the ball with 1 foot on the floor, 1 foot off the floor, and then places that foot, where the 1 foot on the floor is in the front court. They catch the ball, then they place their foot in the backcourt. Is this a backcourt violation? Did we have team control on the court? Player caught the basketball, they had front court status, or did they? Were they the last to touch in the front court? And then when they put their foot down, the ball gained backcourt status, they were the first to touch backcourt. But what about our rules exception? During a throw-in, a player can jump, catch the ball in the air, and make a normal landing. Did this player jump and catch the ball in the air and make a normal landing? No. That exception does not apply. When this player caught the ball in the front court with 1 foot on the floor, that ball gained front court status. They were the last to touch in the front court and the first to touch in the back court. So this is a backcourt violation by rule. A1 is dribbling in his or her backcourt and throws a pass to the front court. While standing in A's front court, A2 touches the ball and deflects it back to A's backcourt where it touches the floor. A2 recovers in the backcourt. The officials rule this a legal play. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? All right, let's apply our formula. Did we have team control on the court? Player was dribbling the ball in the backcourt. Yes, yes we do. Was the team the first to touch in the backcourt after the ball had been in the front court? Yes, yes they were. Was Team A the last to touch in the front court? The player in the front court didn't catch the ball, they just deflected it. But when the ball touched that player, the ball gains front court status. We are masters of status. We have to be to adjudicate these plays. Player was the last to touch in the front court, and the player retrieving the ball was the first to touch in the backcourt. This is a backcourt violation by rule. A1 inbounds the ball at the division line. A2 jumps from the front court, controls the ball in the air, and while still in the air, passes it to A3, who is in the backcourt. The officials rule a backcourt violation on Team A. Were the officials correct? Yes or no? This is a familiar sounding play. We have a throw in near the division line, throw to a teammate who jumps from their front court, catches the ball in the air, but before they land, they release a throw-in pass to a teammate who is in the backcourt. Is this a backcourt violation by rule? Okay, everything's got to come together here. We have to know status, we have to know the exception, we have to know the formula. Our formula, team control on the court. When the player caught the ball, after they jumped in the air, they caught the ball, we have team control on the court. Front court status, that player who jumped from the front court and caught the ball has front court status. The ball now has front court status. They release the release the pass to a teammate. The teammate catches the ball in the backcourt. This team was the last to touch in the front court and the first to touch in the backcourt. Well, what about the exception? Players allowed to jump, catch the ball, and make a normal landing in the backcourt. Did this player make a normal landing in the backcourt? No. No, they did not. Therefore, this is a backcourt violation by rule. We're using our formula, we're using our knowledge of the rules about the rules exception, and we're using our understanding of status, our mastery of status, and it all comes into play. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks so much for joining us today. Join us on Friday for 5 Play Friday, where we will put everything together. We've had the Masterclass, we've explained the rule. We've had play scenarios where we apply our simplified formula, knowledge of the exception, and our mastery of status. All of those things have to come into play, and they all have to come into play in real time. This is the challenge. So during the course of these videos, we can look at plays, break everything down, but see how they all fit together, develop that mastery. Let's say we look at a play, a scenario, and it's like, okay, this, and it takes us 30 seconds, but we get to the proper ruling. I see this, okay, that's a violation by rule. But it took time. We practiced that, and we developed that mastery of status. We know our rules. We go onto the court. We utilize our simplified formula, and we have trust that we will process the play, and that when we do process the play and we have a ruling, we will take advantage and we will put a whistle on the play. Even though it may have taken 1 or 2 seconds for us to process, and it seems like an eternity on the court. The player has dribbled 2 times, and then we blow our whistle. Right? That late whistle is fantastic. And then we reduce that time, and then we become basketball rules experts about backcourt plays when they occur on the court. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us today. Up here, we have our Masterclass video, and down here, we will have the 5 Play Friday episode, 3-part series, Mastery of the Backcourt Rule in High School Basketball. See you next time, everybody. Take care.